Well, that was a very good end to a pretty stressful week for me, for us, for everybody at the stable. We had 3 horses to go into the Breeders' Crown eliminations. One got a bye in Tactical Mounds, and the other 2 both made it. Now, obviously, as many of you may have saw on Facebook, a little disappointed with the draw of the 10-hole for Memento Mori, but there's not much you can do about that. It is what it is. I guess the only solace is we've already won a major stake race from the 10-hole to Meadowlands with Tactical Mounds. Maybe I'll just go back and watch and see how he did it and and go from there. So a very deep division of 2-year-olds this year. You can tell. Scotty and I were talking about it. I don't remember a 2-year-old trotting division. You always have 1 or 2 that are like, geez, these are really nice, and there are. We got to see a whole bunch of them this week. You didn't even get to see the one that got the free pass to the Breeders' Crown, right? The bye, the win, and you're in Peter Houghton winner in Maryland. You haven't even seen him yet in New Jersey. Top to bottom, 1 through 10. Memento Mori is one of the longer shots. This is the horse that just set the world record. The fastest 2-year-old gelding of all time in our sport is one of the longest shots in the 2-year-old Breeders' Crown. So what does that say about how deep the division is? So we'll do our best and race him. Man, super pumped about Time Is On My Side. Not only did he get in, but truly left line. Now this has been his thing all year. You'll know early in the year he wore a Rollerburn and Murphy inside. He switched his leads a couple of times throughout the year, and the latter part of this year been on the left line. Now he doesn't wear any head poles or anything right now. We took the head pole off him for last night, but still riding that left line. Got off the car good. Down the backstretch he was good in the last turn. Down the backstretch he was on it a little bit, and down the lane a little bit more. And I was talking to Timmy about it after T-Trick. We were just talking about the race, and his horse, Captain Luke, raced huge, which I was secretly happy about also because we bought his sister, right, in Lexington, the Sweet Lou filly. So we were talking about that, and I said, left line, I don't know if I could have got up the inside. If you guys had to come back to me, I don't know if I could have got him through the inside. So wondering about bit change maybe for next week. I'm a bit older school, and I had said to Tim maybe a bit burr and a jawbreaker on him next week, and that may be the way we go. And then we were just up having a drink in the bar upstairs, and Megan said, "What about I think she said a Regal bit, leather bit," and she said she had a lot of luck with them. I never used them ever, so when it comes to that particular bit, I don't have a lot of experience. But I told her, I said, I think it is the bit. I don't want to add any head poles or, Murphy blinds or line poles. I think he'll just ride them harder. Just something to help him. And we may go either way, but it was interesting. Always open to input from everybody, certainly any other trainers. So I found it pretty intriguing. So was very happy. Won with all the races, at least at the Meadowlands. We'll talk about some of the other ones. It really was a flat week overall at the stable. Some horses underperformed. We had some horses race great, but when we race a lot of horses and a big chunk of them are horses we thought would do good and they don't, it kind of overshadows everything. Now that shadow can't be cast over the Breeders' Crown. It's just too big, but a lot of horses need to do a bit better in the stable, and we're going to work on them this week. I will be back in the barn. There's no late flight from Chicago. I don't know why. There used to be red-eye flights all the time out of O'Hare to Cleveland. I know I've flown it. Maybe that was to Ontario, though. That might have been to Ontario. So I have to stay overnight tonight, and I'll head back. I'll be in the barn tomorrow by 11:30, so probably get to go with a couple of babies, talk to the veterinarian, talk to Jason staying here in the Meadowlands where he should be, but talk to everybody else, Jason Merriman, Amy, about how everybody's done this week, and then go over a list of horses with both Dr. Latessa and Jason. Okay, this horse raced poorly, what are we going to do, what have we found, what are we looking at? That list will actually be compiled today, and Dr. Latessa will go over it tomorrow. So, we'll start from the start of the week. We kicked off the week really well. We finished off Sunday night great. Gorgeous Package was tremendous last week. Casanova Hall was great. All our horses really raced super on Sunday for the most part that I can see. that I can see. Gaslight Hall was second, Grand Slam Dio was third, Gorgeous Package was a winner, and Casanova Hall was a winner. Although it rained that night and it was kind of miserable weather, it was a great night of racing. Monday, same thing. Arson, a winner, looked great. Looks Like Money was a winner, and Yo Mister come up sick, but again, pretty good day at the races. Tuesday we skipped. Wednesday, 3 Point Blue Chip was all right, and then everything started to come apart, right? Lonely Lakewood raced okay. George of the Jungle was a winner. My apologies to my partners with George. Watch Your Mouth raced okay. Then I'm Fancy Like Bright jumps over a pylon. Now we've made the decision to bring her back to Ohio simply because now Mark has told me she's looking at things and making breaks and hitting a knee. Daniel Dubé come up and told me the same thing. This filly never did any of that. She might have brushed a knee in Ohio, but she never did any of that stuff. And, you know, it's hard now that you have that stigma with this filly. One, Dubé's not going to drive her. Two, Mark isn't usually there. And three, if you're a driver, the first thing you're going to do is ask Daniel Dubé, hey, what do you know about this I'm Fancy? I go, oh, she jumped over a pylon. She hits a knee. She's going to take her back. Surely, I hope there's something there for her. She's too nice a filly not to have a class for. And although this was a good spot for her, I think she's worn out her welcome somewhat. And not that door is closed, but she's going to have to use the exit soon. Love and Affection. Again, I watched the race a couple of times afterwards, and although I didn't feel it, certainly looks like I touched the wheel with her. She was running in. We got to make a few little equipment adjustments with her, but she was probably a winner the other night otherwise. And Purple People Eater race good. So I was wrong. Wednesday wasn't a bad day. The wheels were still completely on Wednesday. Thursday, yes, this is where they start to rattle a little bit. Insider trading shouldn't have run. Should not have done that. She's going back to Northfield Park. We're going to work on her over the next little bit. Again, she and a number of the other fillies are in that Mount Hope sale in mid-December. And, you know, regardless, she's going to the sale. She's a well-bred filly with a 2-year-old stake mark of 56, winning a stake race. So there's nothing wrong with the story behind her, the entire body of work. But 2024 has not been her year. She's just not come back as well. She just feels like she's missing something. So we'll see if we can get her put back together for December. Drebin, bit of a flat race with Drebin. I wasn't very happy with his performance. We're going to give him a week off maybe. I know that we had moved some horses over to the Meadows, and I think the class that we had Drebin in, we have a horse entered for Thursday. I had said to Jason, you know, he fits that 40 claimer non-winners a 6, and we still have that 50% allowance going. It might be worth maybe taking a rip down to Dayton with him. New surroundings, fresh look, and keep him on his toes. That's a possibility for Drebin this week. I haven't explored it much more. I just said it in passing to Jason, and we'll see if that's something we can do, because we have a number of horses we can move around. And if Drebin isn't going to be the right horse for that class right now, we have other horses that will fit it. Tenacious Hanover, just not great the other day. Should have went by and didn't. We're going to continue to work and chip away at him. You know, as I said to all my partners, he's still non-winners 2. It might take us a little longer than we wanted to get our money out and get him racing great, but he will. He'll come. Serious Dragon, little flat, but raced okay. We'll see how he does next week. And then Save America, probably not. I guess if Brett went back and looked at the race, he probably, you know, could have went back in time. He probably would have changed things up a little bit. The Open didn't fill at Dayton this week on Thursday. You'll probably see Save America in Northfield or the Meadows, one or the other. But you will not see him in Dayton this week, maybe next week. And Admiral Dio I thought was a little bit flat, but again, pace 53 and 3. You know, this day and age, that's what you're going to have to go in the maidens. So there's no, well, you know, that was a big mile for him. No, it wasn't. He was a little bit flat, and he just needs to do a little bit better. But again, the week before, it's not lost on me how quick he was closing on the end of it. Again, you can't miss time with these young horses. A week off, you know, they don't get in, and then you go to race them 2 weeks later. It's just very, very hard to do. So I'd like to see him get in 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row, and then get a real good look under the hood at Admiral Dio. Friday started off great. Marching Fourth was great. Sean Johnson drove him great, just got beat at the wire. And Memento Mori raced great. Raced as good as he could. I thought he was a little bit flat, but we had to get in the final. And, you know, when I look at the race, was I a little conservative with him at the start? Probably, yes. And I ended up 6 to 8 lengths out of the lead coming out of the first turn, which I wasn't worried about. Those 3 horses were 3 of the best horses in the race. Just have to be fourth. Horse behind me was the favorite, so I don't know about him. But around the last turn, he just felt like he was holding the line. He was staying there. He wasn't gaining much ground, but he wasn't giving up any ground. And the same thing happened the whole way down the lane. He was being swarmed on both sides, but no one got to him. And there's two ways to look at it. He was soundly beaten by 6-7 lengths, or he fought off every other horse in the race that tried to pass him. Me being the optimist, I'll take the latter. But he does need to be a little bit better, and then he draws the 10 hole. Needs to be a lot better for next week. I got to be on my toes. We have to have buckets of luck for next week. And who knows? But he belongs there. It's not like Memento Mori doesn't belong. He may not trot in 52 with those horses at the Meadowlands next week. I don't know. But we all know he can. He's already trotted faster than any of those horses ever in the sport. So, and people would say, oh, well, that was a fluke. Well, there was like 7 other horses in the race. Any one of them could have won. Happy Jack B could have won the race. Big Shoes first over could have won the race. Everybody else had their shot to win the race. We won the race. So it wasn't a fluke. The horse has raced good all year and continues to race good. And although we drew the 10 hole, we are in the Breeders' Crown, and there is a lot of people that are not. That will be the end of how well things went for us. The rest of the day was poor. Rock Shining Star didn't race good. 1 out of 5 for Blood. We put him on Lasix, but just did not race good. Stay Close, parked. Spitfire Overseas, a little flat, second over. Pickpocket, here's a little interesting item I did not know until I ran into Jason yesterday. Pickpocket's hobbles are broke at the 3/4 pole or around the last turn. I'm like, Jason said his hobbles broke. I said, hobbles broke? We said, well, the Jack's hobbles, you have the rope, the loops, then our pulleys and straps that go around the belly. Then you have another strap, right? It's anchored to the pulley, goes back. That's a separate piece, and 2 snaps connect the piece that go to the bike, the Jack's hobbles. One of those snaps broke. And I'm like, well, where'd it break? So I went back and watched a replay. If you watch Pickpocket coming out of the last turn, you see the back strap hanging down and the other one hanging down. It's kind of dangerous, actually. And Kane did one hell of a job, actually, to get him through the wire. But I have to wonder, I'd said that it's not his trip, he get beat up, and he kind of gave it up. But did he? I don't know. I haven't talked to Kane, but I will. And I'll get to the bottom of it. So Pickpocket actually gets a bye. I didn't get to pass. I never would have thought that happened, especially watching the body language of Kane. Most people just kind of pulled him right up, and he's like still, driving him through the wire. So good job by him, and I guess you can't fault Pickpocket. Brace for Landing I can fault. He raced terrible. And I expect a lot more from that horse, and we'll draw his blood and figure out what happened. But that's just simply unacceptable. Chime Bell, 7 hole, took her back. She's an okay horse, but she's not going to come from 7th in a mile like that and pick them up. It's just not going to happen. JK Victory, I talked to Ron Burke last night. I talked to Adam Rucker. We're going to give him 3 weeks off, send him out to Pennsylvania, out to Schaefer's Farms, give him 3 weeks off, and then go from there from him. Probably bring him back, try to race him at the Meadows a couple of times, see what happens, and then see what we're going to do. And then Chevron's Bypass, I had a very good conversation with somebody the other night, a good friend and a client of ours, and they said, we just need to do better picking our drivers. Come again? Well, we could have used so-and-so, we could have used this person. Let me be as clear as I can. First off, Jason picks the horses in Ohio, just like Harry does in Ontario. I know there's input, but I'm not going to push back against Tyler Angus. The kid's on the top 12, 15 list, has not had many quality drives this year, is not a bad driver at all, and now works for us, helps us in the morning, riding some babies. So he's going to get his chance. And I certainly don't think that Tyler Angus did anything wrong with either of the horses he drove the other night. Chevron's Bypass made a break. Now, if he had taken her back, I would have been a little upset. But he left out of there with her, and she made a break. That happens. He said, well, she doesn't show breaks. Well, she doesn't show any half-mile tracks before we bought her either. She paced 54 her first start. We ducked her her next 2, which I wasn't super happy with, but that happens. It's not the end of the world. And she made some break coming off the gate. It wasn't Tyler Angus's fault. He literally drove the filly for 6 seconds. So, we'll get to the bottom. The Chevron's Bypass break is not on Tyler Angus, it's on us. We'll get to the bottom of it, we'll get her cleaned up, and we'll get her raced. But make no mistake, Tyler Angus will get a shot at driving some of our horses at the stable, and I have no problem with that. I want everybody to understand that. I say, well, he's a 167 driver. No, he's not. He's a driver that's had no luck driving for some of the people he's been put on. If you want to do a deep dive into the programs, go look at the horses that the young kid's been asked to drive. Go look at the odds of the horses that he's driven. You might say, wow, they race better when you drive them. When they're 3 to 5 and I know the horses, it's not that hard to drive them. You put them in the right class, and we'll be able to get a wide swath of drivers that will do good with our horses. And quite frankly, Chime Bell at 7-1 morning line and Chevron's bypass making a break. A little tough to judge the kid on that. Let's give him a break. And then, and that's in no way angry. I understand where you're coming from. You look at the program, you look at the number, you look at the break, you're like, oh, come on. Could we not have used Billy Davis or someone? Yeah, sure we could have. 100% we could have. But you have to judge it for what it is. I think we just need to take a step back and look at the entire situation. Tough spot to put the kid in. You throw him on the track at 9 to 5, and then we'll talk about how he drove the horse, all right? And then Saturday, obviously, I was super pleased. Time is on my side. I figured that's exactly how the race would go. Todd McCarthy didn't need to be in a rush. The 1 and 2 horses don't really scream off the car. The 4's looking to get in. I'm looking to assert myself off the gate. I don't want the 7 or the 8 getting ahead of me, or the 6, because I know who's coming at just as we come out of the first turn. All I got to do is set a sensible pace, and I know Captain Albano will be underway shortly thereafter coming out of the first turn. That's exactly what happened. Time got off the car really well. I stuffed Maddie in behind me. I knew Albano was going to probably get away third. Captain Luke was coming out, so he's going to be fourth. But he's not coming off any great miles. I'm thinking coming out of the first turn, I'm in a super, super position. I'm going to be second maybe to Captain Albano. Now, if I'm lucky and he's not great tonight, maybe I beat him. But I felt very confident. So we come out of the first turn, I heard footsteps, I knew whose they were. Crossed over to the front, 54 and 2, honest pace. And time is on my side, race great. Race great. My only critique was the left line a little more than I'd like to see. And we'll talk about how we're going to remedy that. It's not a hard fix. You just don't want it. What you don't want to do is put too much on the outside. Like to put a head pole, he might lay on it a little bit, or he might run in going into the first turns, and then you're going to lose. You're going to lose ground in the turn. So what you're trying to do is get him off that line, because he's not sore. He's not over on the right shaft, or he's not, get his head turned around. He's not off left front. None of that. I can't really tell you why he's done it, but he's done it his whole life. So how do we make it so that he'll relax and come off that line a little bit? I think the bit is the way to go. As I said, my first choice, just being me with trotters, and I was thinking uneven jawbreaker, bit burr outside. Scott, I remember as soon as I said it, Megan was there, I said, oh, Scotty hates jawbreakers. But it just, we talk about this all the time. It's just personal comfort. What you like, what I like, as how I sit in the race bike is not the same, obviously, as other people. But I was interested to hear Megan speak up and talk about the other bit. So think about it. We'll talk about it. I'll talk to Tim a little bit about it this week, and then we'll make a decision. But all in all, can't be any more happy than that. I'd said to somebody, my dad got mad at me the other day. He said, you called the stable the skunk at the tea party, and you shouldn't do that, and it's not, it's not fair. And I said, well, Dad, it is. I'm being honest. Our clients know that. When it comes to us, we're building in the right way, in the hardest way. We've been building this stable for a decade. For the people that were with us when we were at Bay Karen, before Tomiko Training Center, at Bay Karen, you know what we were dealing with. You know the horses that we had in our barn. And then when we went to Tomiko, again, you know the horses we had in our barn. And then over the last 3-4 years, to be able to buy horses like Time is on my side. And although in the here and now, I'm super excited about next week, I'm really excited about Tuesday. You might not know what's going on Tuesday. Tuesday's the qualifiers at the Meadows, and we're going to qualify Captain Incredible. He trained very, very good the last 2 weeks. He's got the Governor's Cup left. I'm pretty excited about where we're going with him and what's going on with Captain Incredible. And I don't want anybody to forget about him, because he's been a talented colt. The beautiful thing about this game is it always teaches us, right? It's up to you to learn, but it always teaches us. And when you look at Time is on my side, extremely ordinary animal last year. In fact, probably couldn't have done the numbers of 2 at Mohawk at 2. He won that one race, raced him his next start, and he got beat up. He's up the track. We stopped him, castrated him, turned him out, let him grow up, brought him back. And I think the turning point was having him race, really, honestly, having him race in the winter where it's a little watered down. And rather than us tell him or want him to be the horse we thought he might be, we allowed him to become the horse we wanted him to be. And there's quite a difference in the two. And I think time is on my side. Got better and better and better and better. And at some point, his pedigree took over. His attitude changed. And he realized he started believing in himself too. That's a powerful tool, whether you're human or a horse. And that's what we want to do with all our horses, and there's no perfect way. And I said this to Scotty last night. I said, I talk to you and James about this all the time. There's so many different ways to train a horse. And it's results driven, right? Whether we say it's just about entertainment, or it's about purse money, or it's about winning races, or it's all results driven. Now we can work harder on the entertainment side. Our industry can. And we as a stable do all the time. We try to. The wins part's tough. The money's part's super tough. And that's why we never talk about it, because I just don't believe it's that easy. I only know one person that claims to make money, and it appears that they do. That's Mark Weaver. It's the only guy I know. You can say, that guy probably, yeah, he does, yeah. They have a system, and I watch it very closely also. They saturate the classes and move the horses the same way we do. But it is different, right? The Breeders' Crown means a lot because they're racing for a lot of money next week, and that's how they'll view it. Breeders' Crown is great for us because we have 3 horses in the biggest races of the year. There's a lot of people that I have a lot of respect for that have no horses in the Breeders' Crown. Not one. None. And that doesn't diminish my level of respect for them. It just puts into focus how lucky I am, how lucky we are. I say it all the time, and this has nothing to do. Somebody said, it's good timing. The Harrisburg sale's coming up. Our clients probably made their mind up weeks ago what they're going to do for the Harrisburg sale. I think they did. As I say that, I got to get those buckets out to you guys. You know what I did have? I'll finish this one thought. Again, just feel very humbled and very lucky that our clients put us in a position to be here. And it was a very, very difficult decision for me to drive Memento Mori, because there was always that voice wondering if I made a mistake. And it was extremely, the stress of the race, like I can compartmentalize, right? You guys probably have realized that. The stress of driving Mori, once you're listed in the program, that's done. It's over there. You made your decision. That's that. Living with that, I can live with it. I think I made my peace about it before the race. But it was a tough decision to make. I don't want to put myself in a position where it's me ahead of you. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't me wanting to drive Maury, that it was more me should be driving Maury. Anyway, I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad it worked out for everybody, and just so excited for next week. I don't know if there's any of those seats left at the Meadowlands for the bar next weekend, but regardless, bar, restaurant, tarmac, standing room, whatever you want to do, come out to the Meadowlands. It's just one of those things you don't want to miss, and one of those things that can easily fall into the category of I wish I had of. So don't let it fall into that category. If you're a stable member and you can get to New Jersey for next weekend, then you should, because the Breeders' Crown is still the Breeders' Crown. The excitement, the horse racing that's in the air during that time, regardless of where it is truly amazing. So really, really excited for next weekend, really happy. The buckets, I was surprised. We had a couple of New York people say, Anthony, will you do me a favor? Can you put a New York bucket together? Just for a New York horse. Now, I won't lie. There's been a lot of Chapter 7s I've been looking at, both in Lexington and in Harrisburg, to win a bucket, which obviously is New York. But quite frankly, if I'm going to let you guys prove me wrong. We're going to put those buckets up. Probably have a bucket, New York bucket, $60,000. It will be a New York horse of some kind. And you show me that you want a New York horse. I don't have to flap my gums and say, oh, hey, these are the buckets, and we're going to put a horse in here. No, I like that. I like the plan that Amy had put forth. I think it works for Harrisburg perfectly because we are there looking for a certain type of horse. We know what we have. We know what we want. There's the menu. Go get our horses. We know what we're looking for. We're mostly looking for PA trotters, fillies and colts. That's what we're looking for. We're going to look for a high-end pacer, just like we did in Lexington, backed by popular demand. We're going to look for a high-end trotter. I'm going to look for maybe an Ontario pacer. And I will look for New York bred. I'll leave it open to New York bred, but I will. But this will be supply and demand, every bucket. If it doesn't fill, if there's not enough interest, I just won't get one. So I expect that the PA trotting fillies and colts should fill. That should likely be 2 in each, which would be 4. High-end pacer is 5. High-end trotter is 6. Ontario pacer would be 7. New York horse would be 8, and then a small little general bucket for the Rico tubs, the types of flyers that we'll put in there. And I would say you put 3 horses in there for $65,000. Just a general, hey Anthony, anything that catches your eye that's really value based, that's that bucket. So now you're looking at like 8 or 10 horses. I doubt we're going to leave Harrisburg with 8 or 10 horses. I doubt it. But we'll see. We have 39, I think, right now. And a lot of people asking about the Trixton we bought. Just a homebred that didn't reach the level that somebody wanted to go. It's Steve's horse, Steve and a couple of his partners. And they said, would you take this Trixton colt? Yeah. And we do that all the time. It's easy for me. I know it's frustrating. It's a little frustrating for Steve to come and say, hey, will you take this horse? And yeah, no problem. I get no problem doing that. You guys are going to tell me and tell Steve and his partners how interested you are in the Trixton colt. I am. It's good family. And I know, I'll be upfront with everybody. Amy doesn't like Trixtons. I love them. I remember Spirited Dio. I remember all the Trixtons we had. We had 2 or 3 that I liked quite a bit. That did us a lot of good. I don't have any problem with Trixton at all. Trixton's going to have a problem with Trixton in Ontario. Right? King of the North, Muscle Mass. Who's the killer? Green Manalishi. I mean, so many mares. So Trixton's going to have a problem. But I can tell you this, Trixton mares, not that it matters because this is a colt, but Trixton mares are highly sought after by the Europeans right now, I believe. From what I've been hearing anyway. So with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Again, a tremendous weekend. Anytime you get a chance to race in these big events and make a dent, be a player. And that was the thing. Maury looks present. You can't look at his resume and say he doesn't belong. He just simply does. 10-hole sucks, but he belongs. Tactical Mounds. Somebody said, she's not quite as good. Well, they can't stay good forever. I can tell you one thing. I saw her train yesterday. She looked very, very good with Megan at Mark Ford's Training Center. She already went in 49-4. Of course she belongs. And Time Is On My Side's always been knocking on the door. But one thing I love about Time Is On My Side, a lot of these horses have been knocking heads all year, right? We already know what they can do. He will get better and better and better. And he is a scary, fast horse. Anytime you have a horse, remember this, anytime you have a horse that wears a 61-inch hobble, no boots, and as of last night, no poles, can leave a quarter in 25-4 on a half-mile track, can finish in 26 seconds, that's a good horse. And Time Is On My Side is certainly a good horse. So with that, I will let you go. I hope you guys had a great time watching everything take place. And as far as next week goes, we'll get everything under control. You guys know that. They can't always be good, and we always just seem to fall into a valley once in a while, but we don't take long climbing ourselves out, and that's exactly what will take place this week. So have a wonderful rest of your weekend, whatever you have left to do, football or whatnot. I am off to Chicago. As you see, I'm in a hotel room. My flight's in about 2 hours. I'll be flying out of Newark, Liberty International Airport, flying to Chicago's O'Hare. Going to get picked up, go race Allie's Got Grit, and What a Lady, What a Night. And then, unfortunately, no disrespect to Chicago, but I have to stay overnight as there's no red-eye flights to Cleveland. So I am up 6 a.m. I have a flight out of O'Hare. I'll be in Cleveland at 20 after 10. I'll be at the track shortly after 11. So I'll catch the latter part of the morning and go with some horses there. So for now, take care. Watch some football. Eat some wings. Whatever you do on Sunday. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.